So you can see where people, this is the herd path, they've gone to the lowest.
Yeah.
So,
right.
so we also got to take that trail sign off there.
Okay.
We'll do that in a moment. We got to be careful that that tree doesn't come off the stump when you go to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what side are you gonna cut?
Well, so what do you consider downhill here?
This for downhill, so you cut from up there.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Absolutely. So the trail you can see is right through here.
Mm-hmm.
So what I will do is we'll limb this here. My feeling is that I would probably think this is good for the edge of the trail this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this is probably good for the edge of the trail that way.
Okay.
So what I'm anticipating we will do, so you see it's got this Y here.
Yeah.
So that means that the probability of this twisting or rotating isn't that great. I'm not saying that it can't do some, but it's not going to be dramatic in my opinion. The biggest issue here is when I go and sever this tree,
Yeah.
that it wants to roll out of that root ball.
Yeah.
Or roll out of the bottom of the stem.
Yeah.
It may not on the first cut, on the second cut it may.
Okay.
So I'm gonna work on the assumption that it's going to.
Sure.
So like I said, I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pick my first cut. Again, once this is out of here, I'll probably do my first cut here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that I really can't do this cut. I mean, it's close, but it's almost over my shoulder.
Okay.
But what I do want to do is I'll do my square cut here, and then if
Now,
nothing.
what square cut? Just mean straight down?
So no, so square cut is, I'm going to take the saw, I'm going to come over and I'm going to tilt the saw so it's vertical.
Okay.
I'm going to be standing on the side. I can't get there because of this branch.
Yeah.
In fact, just grab me the small saw. I'll cut this real quick. I'm going to be done with it. Hand me the big saw, please. Okay, so a square cut is, and I know you've seen me do it. So I'm going to take the saw, I'm going to come over the top. You'll see I'm going to rotate my hand and operate the trigger with my thumb when I come over the top.
Okay.
I'm going to get it vertical, right? I'm going to make sure that I get this bottom corner.
Okay.
Then I'm going to come over, I'm going to pull the saw out, I'm going to come over, I'll do a plunge cut, and I'll go in and I'm going to try and mate up with that other cut.
Okay.
Okay? The tree most likely is going to creak when I do that.
Okay.
Okay? At which point, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do an undercut here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come back and finish this cut.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I'm doing that is that if this tree does flop on the ground,
Yeah.
okay, in fact, I may do a shallow square cut all the way around here also. And the reason why is that if it does flop on the ground and it's flat on the ground, we don't have to try and get a saw or drive a saw into the dirt.
Right.
Because I've already got an initial cut.
Right. Oh, I see.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, if I just did the undercut, the problem is if this rolls, which
Yeah.
it probably won't, although once it's severed from here, it could roll.
Yeah.
Because it can't roll right now because of that. We don't know where it's going to land and flop. So having a girdled cut all the way around,
Okay.
with doing my initial square cut, then if it drops on the ground, it's no big deal because we can just finish cutting either up from the bottom or down from the top, whatever we need to do.
Got it.
With
Okay.
me?
Yep.
The only other issue here is this is probably a really heavy log, but I think with the two of us, even that length, I think we'll be able to roll it out over there.
Yeah.
Okay?
So I should come up there, right?
It doesn't matter whether you want to be here or here. Technically, you should be uphill.
Yeah.
The other thing,
So I
again,
see.
you don't ever really want to stand in front of
The saw.
the saw.
Yes, that I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to tell you is there are safety features on a saw, this being one of them.
Yeah.
That's so if the chain ever breaks, it catches it.
Okay.
Okay. That is also why the handle is wide on this side of the saw. It helps protect your hand that if the chain were to come down and wrap around,
It's not gonna like whip
it
up.
will, it may, but it reduces the risk. Okay.
Right. Got it.
Okay. So that's just something.
That's why the handle is shaped the way it is.
That's the why it's shaped. This is a decompression valve. Okay, so if you try and pull this, it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But if you press the decompression valve, it's actually easier to pull.
And that's when it's cold.
That's when it's cold.
or-
You only
or
do
at
that
any time.
on startup, really.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. So with the brake on, you're putting it away from you before you start it, correct?
What's that?
So you put the chain brake on before you start.
You
every
always
time.
put the chain brake on before you start it.
And when you're done
Now-
cutting, chain brake on.
Now, in class this last time, they actually wanted you to disengage the chain brake and then engage the chain brake again. And that was to make sure that the chain brake is working.
Okay.
Okay, so you're not assuming the chain brake is working. You're physically actually testing it to make sure it's working.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Why we did exactly what we did.
feel like this cutting under and over, doesn't matter which way it fell. If it fell on the bottom or not, you have the access point either way.
Exactly.
Got it.
And then what happened was is that there was a little bit of a divot in the land, so I didn't know if it was going to sag down.
Okay.
So to be on the safe side, I put the wedge in it. That way it wouldn't sag down.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the other thing. Like if this was on the ground, right, and it was a long tree.
Yeah.
If we cut 3/4 of the way through this,
Yeah.
if we then take a wedge and drive the wedge through, it will literally lift the tree.
Okay. So
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Correct, because we're making this cord length longer.
Got it.
Okay, or the length of this. And when you think about geometry,
Yeah.
so if we make this, if we drive a wedge that's 3/4 of an inch or an inch thick, it's literally making that longer, and so it lifts the tree off the ground, which would allow you then potentially to finish the cut on the bottom.
I see.
It's
Give
one
space
of the
above.
ways.
Yeah.
But the reality is that for the most terrain that we deal with, to me, getting down on your knees, if you're capable of doing that, just makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
Because again, in a case where there was potential of the tree, you know, if this was the first cut and it had all sorts of binds, no, we don't want to be necessarily here.
Yeah.
In fact, sometimes you will see, and that's part of the reason why I like the square cut, is I get through, and now because I've cut through here, I can be further away from the tree, even with the long bar. I can be cutting because I only have to cut halfway through.
Okay.
Follow?
Yeah. Because why?
Because if I've done my square cut, right, I've come over the top, I've cut through here, I've come across with the bar, come down and done the bore cut. That tree now is maybe only this big,
I see.
but I can favor it to one side or the other.
Got it.
And so if I favor it to this side because I'm worried about some potential, now what happens is I literally can be further away from the tree when I actually cut it.
Yeah.
So if something does happen, another foot is another foot.
Sure. Yeah, you'll take it.
You know, instead of being right here.
right on it. You
Right.
don't have enough time to react.
Right.
So
Plus the other thing is in that case, you know, if you were doing this and the power head was right against here, right? And this tree wants to move, it's going to push the power head towards you depending on which side moves and whatever else. Where if I'm here, well, it's not going to push the power head. It might push the bar, but that's kind of a different situation.
What's the power head?
This is the power head,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Versus just the bar,
You sure?
okay?
Yep. Yeah. All right. This is a good example then.
Yeah, well, when I walked up, I'm like, oh, this is a great example because this is that thing about understanding the dynamics and the potential, and that's why I very specifically my cut plan. Now another sawyer might have come out, wouldn't have cared, and that's their prerogative.
Yeah.
But my thing is, no. I want to, because especially sort of when we're talking about potentially teaching you and you might have the interest, but even if you didn't, just as a sawyer, you now have a better understanding of what I'm doing,
Right.
and you're going to give me better input, which is, hey, like you did on the other tree, what about this? What about that?
Right.
And you were right in a couple of situations on that other tree.
Right. Yeah.
No problem.
Sure.
So, and again, I have thick skin, so it's like you can say, hey,
Right.
stop. And I'm totally all right with that.
This is the strap for the big one, right?
But yeah, strap is for the big one. Okay, nice. Yeah, that was pretty cool watching that thunk down the way it did. I wasn't sure if it was going to happen on the
Well,
first.
it rolled exactly how you wanted to. So you can show like this is the reason why I did it that way.
Correct.
Now